Boot it up, don't crash today. Wi-Fi's moody, that's okay. Coffee's loading, brain's still light. Kali's locked in, Techie's tagged. We're logging in with Kali and Techie. Kali bringing culture. Techie talks Techie. Stories, culture, updates too. It's logging in, brought to you. System ready, slightly unstable. You're logging in for fault, boredom not found. You're logging in, best show around.
It's another episode of Log It In, and we're gonna just looking at the numbers of the analytics. It sounds like you guys like when we do a shorter show, so we're gonna try to do a shorter show today. I think. I don't know. What do you think, Kali?
Everybody is on what I can say, the microwave version of things, the attention span. So I'm with it. You want to do a shorter version? Let's do it. I'm all game for that. I have to admit my attention span is a little short too. So I'm right along with everybody else. Because check this out. Even when I'm listening to videos, I always speed up the playback speed.
That's funny.
All the time.
Unbelievable.
I never listen to it at 1.0. I'm like at 1.25, depending if people are talking really slow because they want to get that sit time. I'm listening to them at 1.5. Like it does not take that long to such and you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, talk regular.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right, so let's just do this. I'm just gonna jump in with a story that my wife ended up sending me about security cameras are feeling spectacularly a common sense from the Wall Street Journal. Essentially what they're saying is that these security cameras that are using AI technology is having a very terrible time when it comes to basically understanding what's going on. So, for example, if there was on, they said Wyze, W-Y-Z-E, on their camera, it had a lot of trouble because essentially when it had a car with their red lights on, it was basically reporting a large fire is burning in the yard with flames reaching high into the sky as a dark SUV is parked in the driveway.
What?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And then a white pickup truck ended up causing, with their lights on, ended up causing this warning from the AI. A tornado is visible in the distance with a white pickup truck parked in the foreground.
What is it? From a fire to a tornado?
Right. Just
a tornado.
Just essentially from somebody's car just being on. Yeah.
A tornado?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Okay, and then if we look at Amazon in its AI trial, there was a report one day of a dark-colored bear that was walking on the paved area. It wasn't a bear, it was a cat.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
They called a cat a bear?
Yep.
I cannot. Yep. I can't. Yep. Oh, my goodness.
Yep.
Oh my goodness, a cat is a bear?
Yep.
A bear though.
And
not a pig.
Nope. So a customer of Blink, which is another one of these doorbell systems with AI in it, decided that they wanted to see if something actually horrific happened, what would be described. So they put on a horror movie mask and stood in front of the camera. Okay. And the resulting alert had no concern about a menacing person in front of the door. Instead, it just reported...
Oh, you got to be kidding me.
It just reported, there's a person, they're standing on the porch and looking around, which is accurate.
A person.
But it did not identify that it is a person that doesn't necessarily look like
a person.
They've got the best intentions right now.
Oh my gosh. No warning, like, hey, there's just a person, but you describe a cat as a bear and you describe a white truck as a tornado.
Yep.
And you're describing a fire. Wow. Yeah. What's the talks on that?
Yeah, we're cooked.
Are the companies replying, or what are they saying?
No, nothing. Just nothing. Just
nothing yet.
Just leave it as is, and that's it. That's what we want to at least start our day off. So here, I've got a bunch of your stories. So let's just see if we can just kind of go through with this. We're always talking about MrBeast, former employee SA harassment suit. I actually know about this one, but I want to hear your take.
Yeah, so MrBeast responded after a former employee filed a lawsuit against his company, Beast Industries, alleging workplace misconduct. According to the complaint, the former head of Instagram, Lorraine Mavromatis, claimed she experienced sexual harassment from the CEO, James Warren, along with unequal treatment compared to male colleagues. She also, alleged she was demoted and later fired after raising concerns. We've heard this type of situation before, not in this company. I'm just saying the situation in general. The complaint described a pattern of uncomfortable interactions, including meetings held outside the office, and comments about her appearance. It also included a claim that Warren made inappropriate remarks involving Donaldson himself. It goes on to say, in response, a spokesperson for Beast Industries denied the allegations, calling them fabricated and stating the lawsuit was intended to generate headlines. The company also said internal restructuring, not retaliation, led to role eliminations, including her position, and noted that both male and female employees were affected. Donaldson addressed the broader conversation around company culture during a public appearance, explaining that he built his business at a young age and has since brought in more experienced leadership as the company expanded to hundreds of employees. He acknowledged that shaping company culture at a scale required growth and outside expertise. So at this time, the case is still unfolding, with both sides standing firmly behind their accounts. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, we've seen these cases before, and where, a person was let go and they claim that, or they allege that, hey, now we're going to talk about some sexual harassment claims, as well as I was being treated unfairly. Also, I was demoted, and then later fired. We've seen these claims. We've also seen claims that are saying, hey, she wasn't the only one fired. There were male and females fired. So it's not necessarily a gender bias type of situation. But it's interesting because MrBeast has always been kind of, from what I've seen, as kind of like a good guy. I was surprised to see, I wouldn't have been as surprised to see, somebody complaining about, unequal treatment or being demoted, but I was definitely surprised about the sexual harassment. I was like, whoa. Now, she did say it was from the then CEO, James Warren. So, but because he's CEO of the company, there you go.
Yeah. So full disclosure here, I've actually dealt with MrBeast personally. So essentially I've got a different feeling from it. I mean, indirectly. I mean, but no, I've been on the same stage with him when we were on Clubhouse, which was interesting, and essentially he ended up making a big faux pas when he was on Clubhouse, where there was one of the biggest Clubhouse streamers and Clubhouse is that audio app, if you don't know what that is, but essentially And this has been well documented, so you can even look it up. But essentially, this big Clubhouse influencer showed up to his room, was on his stage. MrBeast was unable to pronounce the guy's name, and then brought him down to the audience, and without even letting him like say, "Okay, how do you pronounce the name?" Or it was just really, really disrespectful, and
Really?
it ended up being a situation where it was an all-night battle where people from Beast Team was trying to defend what was going on, while people from Clubhouse's club, if you will, were sitting there and saying, hey, Beast needs to come back on and owes an apology to the community. Because you don't just show up to a community and do something like that. And as a result, it ended up dividing a lot of people in the Clubhouse situation. But from that moment on, I've been watching a lot of Beast's moves, and I can definitely see how, yes, has a good heart, but at the same time, there are things that he does, which is because he never really received the right character training as far as how to handle fame. That's my opinion.
So he's a little dismissive, or not even gonna say little. He's dismissive to, as one would. One could describe him as being dismissive to things that, because you know what, things like not pronouncing and not taking an interest in pronouncing a person's name correctly, that is a microaggression.
Yes.
In the workplace.
Yes.
If you know, if somebody's like, what's your name again? Every time they see you, what's your name again? Is it so-and-so? How do you say it? Such and such. And it's like, come on, get it. I've told you like 50 times. And every time you speak to me, you're asking me the same question. You know, it's not that many syllables. Try. Yep. That's a form of, you know, just respect, right?
Yep.
And if you don't get it correctly, you say, I'm sorry, I might be pronouncing it. I might not be pronouncing it correctly. Can you tell me, how do I say your name? Yep. And then try to say it with them and then go forth. But if you're dismissive toward it, a person, because your name is who you are. That's who you are. So when you're dismissive to not even respect me enough to try to learn my name.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So that's that elitist type of behavior. So, you know, I've seen that in corporate and everywhere else, you know.
So to put it in context, this happened February 19th, 2021, and it was even covered by Business Insider, which is a reputable.
Really?
Yes.
It got there.
This is a big deal, and I was in the room. I watched it happen. Like and it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. And so essentially, and I'm going to go and I'm going to spell out the name of the person that he was not able to pronounce, or he did not even ask. First name Farokh, last name Sarmad. All he had to do was ask. Sarmad.
F is in Frank, or S is in Sam?
S is in Sam, A is in Apple, R is in Rainbow, M is in Mary, A is in Apple, D is in Dairy.
So Sarmad or Sarmad?
Basically.
Depending on what the emphasis is. And then the first name was what?
Farokh?
Farokh?
Farokh. Farokh. Yeah.
Farokh Sarmad or Farokh Sarmad. Probably Sarmad.
Well, Farokh never pronounced.
Either way, just confirm it.
Farokh never pronounced his last name for me, so it's like. But I know his name is Farokh because I've been on his stage on Clubhouse multiple times. I mean, I had 6,000 followers on Clubhouse. It was a big deal. So, but again, it was a major incident, but it's not discussed. And this was in 2021. Before any of these other things about MrBeast came out. So I watched it in action. So the problem is I can't talk about this topic without mentioning that, because then as a journalist, I mean, I need to disclose what I've actually been involved
Right. And that just goes to show that sometimes, like I said, because I never heard of this, with the situation you're speaking about until today. So it just goes to show you that, what did I say just a few minutes ago? Oh, well, seems like, probably was a good guy. And it's like, just because a person does, good and great things, and it seems very philanthropic and, all that, it doesn't mean behind the scenes they're not, slight assholes. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It just doesn't mean that. You're just not privy to it.
People make mistakes, especially when you're coerced on these various audio apps. But in this case, he's got so much infrastructure. He's got PR people. He's got all these people that should be advising him on, hey, not a good idea. But no, he's definitely right. I mean, there's some really bad quotes that are out there from when MrBeast was first starting out, when he really didn't have a PR team, and I don't blame him. The problem is that he needs to show continuous growth. Even myself or whatever, I've had run-ins for stupid stuff, but it's like, but the key thing is the growth that happens afterwards. That's the big thing.
Right. That's key.
We're in a microcosm now that if you make any mistakes, it used to be in the 80s, if you made a mistake, it wasn't recorded. It wasn't carrying around with you everywhere. So you were allowed to make your mistakes, so that way, when other humans met you as an adult, they didn't need to know what happened to you in elementary school and high school. All they care about is, what are you providing with me now? But we're in a situation where MrBeast is not benefiting, because there is plenty of footage out there of, you can watch the progression of how he ended up where he is right now. And even the fact that he is really into things like, I don't even remember what that show is on Netflix that every, Squid Game. I was about to call it Sushi Game, but that's not the right one.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
but he loves that stuff. So,
well, you know what? It's very important to love what you love, but don't get so far away and detached from things like people and how you make them feel. I'm not, saying that, this former employee, her experience, was she saying her allegations are true? All I'm saying is it's important to pay attention to, if you've already been called out as a company, and it's reached, credible sources like Business Insider, people got their eyes on you. So it's important, take some type of business etiquette training, business sensitivity training, something, because you have employees and you have, a large platform, a serious business. This is not, a flea market type business. This is a real business, a reputable name. So all of those things are important, because she has a few different claims. And if those things, we've seen these things before where companies have kind of brushed stuff under and hope it goes away, or, they're just complaining, and, and people don't go away. They don't go away. So it'll be interesting to see how this turns out, since the story is still unfolding.
All I got to say is that he had a warning shot in 2021. Did he take the warning? No.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem. So as a result, as we approach 2026, 2027, essentially, it's essentially like 2023, 2024, a lot of these stories should have been squashed, because he got a kick in the pants in 2021 with Farouk. What he didn't realize is that guy, being a major influence on Clubhouse, has access to a lot of reporters and was able to get this story spread all over the place about MrBeast.
Especially.
Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. No. Go ahead. Finish your point.
No, I want to hear the especially. I want to hear the especially. I like it.
I was just going to say, especially with the claim that, he explained that his business, he built his business at a young age, and has since brought in more experienced leadership.
Yep.
As the company expanded to hundreds of employees, but it doesn't say when. It just says, he has since, so.
Yeah.
It's also very, very important to watch who you put in leadership, because that can be damaging as well. And it all comes back on you. So be careful who you hire for these leadership positions.
And here's the other thing that you have to know is that if you want to get a better understanding of what the culture was going on, even though some of the stuff has already been debunked, and the guy had a great opportunity of going in and explaining what goes on in the Beast world, but whatever. But look up Dog Pack. And if you look up Dog Pack with MrBeast, you'll end up seeing a lot of great videos that explains all these players. And Dog Pack 404 is the name of the whole thing. But yeah. Right now, because of some of the mistakes that Dogpack 404 made, as a result, he's actually abandoned the internet entirely. His YouTube channel and his Twitter, there's just nothing more with Dogpack. So you can really go deep into this. Yeah, Dogpack 404.
I see this. Yeah. Released a series of videos alleging that MrBeast fakes his videos, engages in deceptive business practices, and run an unethical work environment.
Yep. So, and you'll hear James Warren and stuff like that. The problem is that he had multiple videos. He took down most of his videos because there were things in some of the videos that were debunked. So as a result, there's only 2 videos left, but they've got around 28 million between the 2 videos. Just putting that out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, that's probably enough MrBeast to, but yeah, no, I just had to mention that because it's like I have this extra bit of connection where it's like, okay, need to kind of disclose that because again, it's like I've always watched him very carefully in the back of my head, knowing what I witnessed on my own. And it's just kind of important to go into to basically bring that up. All right, let's go into the Spirit Airline closing because that's pretty messed up.
Yeah, Spirit Airlines shut down after 34 years, and to think that they never had any type of accidents, crashes, nothing in all 34 years. So Spirit Airlines, the budget carrier known for its bright yellow planes and even brighter add-on fees, officially shut down operations after 34 years in business. The airline announced it had begun an orderly wind down, effective immediately canceling all flights and ending customer service overnight. That left passengers showing up to the airports with nowhere to go and employees learning just as quickly that they were out of a job. Spirit Airlines had built its brand on ultra low fares, often reshaping how airlines priced tickets across the country, but rising costs, including fuel spikes tied to the Iran conflict and ongoing financial struggles, ultimately grounded the company for good. So it looks like let me see.
So I'm gonna say blah blah blah. I'm gonna add more context to this. 2022, JetBlue actually outbid Frontier Airlines to acquire Spirit. And then they were blocked by the Department of Justice to stop the merger because a federal judge agreed with the Department of Justice and they stated that the deal would harm competition. Well, you can't have competition if you're out of business. Even Pete Buttigieg, I don't know if I pronounced his name right, but he was Department of Transportation at the time, and he was really excited about blocking the Spirit JetBlue merger because, again, he was stating that he was ensuring passenger choice and access to low fares. But again, if the result now is Spirit not even functioning, they should have just let the merger go through. But everybody was worried about a monopoly.
Right.
And so, yeah, if that's... They basically got exactly what they were afraid of. But it was going to be a $3.8 billion deal to buy out Spirit Airlines from JetBlue. But whatever.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
That's why I wanted to add context. Because again, I don't know how many people know about that. So that it could have been better.
I didn't.
All right. Let's
it looks like it could have been saved.
Yeah, it could have been saved. Let's look at U.S. Voters' Rights Act gutted by the Supreme Court.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. A major Supreme Court decision reshaped the conversation around voting rights in the U.S., with legal experts and political observers saying the ruling significantly weakened key protections under the Voting Rights Act of 1965. In a 6-3 decision, the Supreme Court of the United States introduced new standards for proving racial discrimination in voting maps. The majority opinion, written by Samuel Alito and joined by several conservative justices, argued the court was refining how the law is applied, particularly what's known as Section 2. That section had been long used to challenge voting districts, that disproportionately affected minority voters, even without explicit proof of intent. But under the court's updated framework, plaintiffs now face a much higher bar to prove discrimination, one that some analysts say will be difficult to meet in practice. This decision builds on earlier rulings, including Shelby County versus Holder, which had already removed federal oversight requirements for certain states with histories of voting discrimination. Now, the broader impact could play out over time. With redistricting, battles in several states may shift. And both parties are already preparing for how the new legal landscape could affect future elections, particularly in the South. Supporters of this ruling say it limits federal overreach and ensures race is not overly prioritized in map drawing. Critics argue, though, that it could reduce the ability of minority voters to challenge unfair districting practices. Okay, so one of the bigger pictures that I recognize with this is when states decide that they want to start redrawing their maps. Say, for instance, if there were maybe in one district, there were 15 blacks and 6 whites for a district. Well, with this new updated framework, if states decide they want to start redrawing their districts, they can make it to whereas now it's 16 whites and 2 blacks.
Yeah.
And so where if when it comes to voting, where you would have a majority vote, it changes the majority of vote, and it kind of scatters, it kind of splits up, where the black vote would count or a minority vote would count, because, oh, you're not in this district, so you can't vote. You got to go over here on this side. You know what I mean? It totally changes the mapping of how votes can be tallied up in the end. And this is right in time for, the midterms. But, another bigger picture along with that is a lot of laws and acts and everything that were put in place that started, say, for blacks, actually has helped a lot of other races, because the LGBTQ community, they were able to, fall back on the Civil Rights Act. Well, that was started because of blacks, so a lot of these minority groups, women, gender, it can impact more than what is showing right now on the front in the long run. It can really have a greater impact. Because if people say, okay, well, it's not necessarily racial discrimination, but it could be gender, it could be classification. Who knows? You know what I mean? And this is something that has been in place since 1965. So why now? It's terrible. It's terrible. This is what the whole march was for with Martin Luther King. At that time, it was for the voting rights, and Section 2 was created, and they just gutted it. So it's quite disturbing.
Well, that's a great note to end the show with. Maybe next week we'll talk about the 2027 new cars monitoring you inside your car. That is horrific.
It's going from one thing to the next. I can't wait to get into that.
I'm logging out. I'm logging out. We'll talk about that next week. I'm done.
I'm logging out as well. We'll talk about it next week. Yeah, not so great news going on this week, but you know, it is what it is. There's always next week, right?
Yeah, exactly. All right, logging out. Bye.
All right, bye.
We're logging in with Kali and Techie. Kali bringing culture. Techie talks techie stories. Culture updates to it's logging in. Brought to you. System ready. Slightly unstable. You're logging in. 404. Bored I'm not found. You're logging in. Best show around. Boot it up. Don't crash today. Wi-Fi's booty. That's okay. Coffee's loading. Rings to lag. Kali's logged in. Techie's tag. We're